S402D and S402E. Those were Facebook records that I went through with Ms. Kanarek, and I have discussed that with your staff, and it's been added to the evidence list. But it was, the pages were not marked individually, so
All
I
right,
marked
so it's
them.
C, D, and E?
C, D, and E.
All right.
C is page 814, D is page 968, and E is page 970.
And that's just for identification.
Just for identification, so the record is clear.
All right.
Judge, the issue was with respect to a potential audio recording that there was a representation made. It may be attempted to bring in through this witness. So I just asked counsel outside that if there's a belief that that audio would be used for impeachment, that we could do that outside the presence of the jury, because it's my understanding there's no transcript. So rather than playing it where we could vet that out or have that decided outside the presence of the jury.
And then there's the issue of how we play it over the court's audio system. I don't think it's a share screen function, but I'm unclear from the...
What is it, you have it digitally on your computer?
I do, Your Honor, and I have a media player open, and it's the same media player that the prosecution was using when they played the 911 calls. So,
Do you have a copy of that audio clip on your system?
I know we turned it over. I don't believe we have it with us here.
well, it's a clip anyway, so no. Do you know how your audio ties into the system using your media player?
I think we just open the media player and then click share screen once the...
All right, then that's
You
what I'll
want to
do.
try it now? The witness is not here, so try it now, see if it works.
That sounds good, Your Honor, thank you.
And Judge, while he's doing that, my discussions with the prosecutor are that it appears that likely that he'll close tomorrow, or he'll rest tomorrow.
I'll be close.
How many more witnesses do you think you have?
We have, I believe, 4 witnesses. One of them is crime scene detective who collected an item of evidence and entered into evidence. We have a shooting reconstruction, ballistics officer, forensic examiner who examined the guns, as well as 2 witnesses who testified before Your Honor at the 104 hearing about statements that the defendant made,
So I don't.
which I guess is actually 5, but
So I don't anticipate lengthy crosses with these witnesses. So I'm hoping he'll rest tomorrow.
It doesn't sound like a morning rest, though.
No.
no.
More like
I think if I rest, it will
afternoon.
be later in the afternoon.
Right, because we probably won't finish Mr. Goodwin this afternoon, so we'll finish up tomorrow morning with him and then your other witnesses. So it'll take us probably to the afternoon.
Right. And again, Judge,
Oh, sir.
I'm trying to, now in light of that, try to get all my witness ready for Monday morning. My only concern is my experts I had scheduled for the end of next week. I'll be calling them as soon as I get out of here, and things are moving a lot more quickly than anticipated. But if I can get my expert, I anticipate resting next week.
All right, I'm sure the jurors will be happy to hear that.
I'll check with my
But,
my expert today.
yeah,
as
find
well.
out, check and time frames moved up. It may be that second week, not the third week, most likely the second week. Mr. Valinkas, how many other witnesses might you call in addition to your experts? Just generally speaking, I'm not
And
pinning you
Judge,
down.
I'm in light of what's transpired, I'm trying to pare things down considerably. I believe I've excluded 3 or 4 major witnesses that I originally intended to call in light of what's gone on. But I'm thinking, maybe 12 to 15, but most of them, Judge, will be on and off. Like, for instance, the police officer is going to testify to one specific instance, and I'm done with them. Another,
You mean the ones before the shooting?
yes.
Yes, where they responded to the house.
Yep. So, again, I'm direct. All I'm going to ask them is specific questions with regards to what I want to address, not the entire thing like we did at the 104 hearing.
All right. Well, you can at least have them lined up for Monday morning.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are.
and then whenever the expert is available, you can call him. All right. Do you have that?
Attempt this.
All right, go ahead. Let's see if we can hear it.
It was playing and I didn't hear it. Is my screen being shared?
Yes.
I'll try it
You
again.
have your volume off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
that caused feedback last time it was
Well,
on.
just try it.
Okay. I'll hit play.
So,
I'll try it again.
Sure.
So that's my
That's not,
speaker. Maybe-
that's not going to work.
Hold on, let me try volume, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
That's all right. No worries. We'll figure it out.
I have my speakers off, my volume should still be able to come up. I mean, I think that's what we're trying to do. I don't hear anything coming through this.
You have the share audio button in Zoom.
Hang on. Stop again.
Can you call someone from tech? Thank you.
Maybe that was it. It was a share screen instead of share audio. Hang on, I'll do advanced. Move the computer audio. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Try it again.
so the system of the computer?
in and out. It's very obviously a common area.
That's good.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Shellhorn, the techie of the day.
All right, ready to proceed?
Yes. Judge, are you going to address that issue with
Yes.
the jurors before cross-examination?
Yes, with juror number 7. My staff indicated that when the witness was using the laser pointer, I asked all the jurors if they saw, and I didn't see juror number 7. I saw the other jurors nod. The jurors in the gallery all nodded yes, but my staff told me that juror number 7 was shaking his head no. I just want to address it with him. And if he says no, you can call your witness back and just go over that once again so we can see it. Yes, we'll bring the jurors in now.
It's too high there. JD. Here's the copy.
Is this an extra?
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Bennett, do you have that photograph?
Sure, Ian brings.
All right, be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we were working on a slight technical issue during the break, but we have it figured out. One other matter was brought to my attention. During the testimony of Mr. Goodwin, he used a laser pointer up on one of the photographs. And at the break, I was informed by a member of my staff that juror number 7, you may have been shaking your head.
Yeah, I didn't quite see the picture. The plan,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
But I didn't want to.
No, I'm sorry I missed. I saw everyone else, and I saw the gallery was nodding their head yes, and I apologize for missing that, but my astute staff picked up on it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have the witness brought in. I'm going to allow Mr. Shellhorn to briefly reopen his direct, ask that question again. The witness can shine it again, and hopefully you...
Yeah, that was the only part.
Okay, all right, thank you. And we'll do that, and just, you understand what we're going to do?
I was just going to clarify, Judge, was that with respect, if you could ask the juror if that was with respect to where Mr. Barisone was standing or where Ms. Kanarek was, or both?
It was where Mr. Baristone was standing. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll clarify
All right,
that.
very good, thank you. Yes, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, officer. All right, yes, you can have a seat. Mr. Goodwin, there was an issue with one of the jurors seeing the screen when you used a laser, and I failed to pick up on it. My staff did, so I just spoke to the jurors. So Mr. Shellhorn is going to reopen his direct and just ask you that question again. So we're going to ask you if you can, after you hear the question, the photograph will be picked up, and then just shine the laser, okay? Just follow the question from Mr. Shellhorn. All right, go ahead, Mr. Shellhorn.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let's pull the picture up. Mr.
Judge,
Bennett, please, if
For
you
the
could.
record, we're displaying S345. Mr. Goodwin, do you remember looking at this picture a short while ago?
I do.
And do you remember I had asked you a question about the general or approximate area where Michael Barisone was standing
I do.
at the time when you first saw him?
Sure.
Could you use that pointer and again try to indicate the approximate area where he was standing?
So this is the bush. This, where Michael's feet would have been, completely concealed and covered behind this bush here. This back here is where I was standing.
Did you see that, Juror 7?
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
No further questions.
All right, so we'll have cross-examination now by counsel. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Goodwin. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the background here. You meet Barisone in 2018, correct?
Either beginning of 2018, end of 2017. I forgot what month we went down to Florida.
Okay, and you made reference to a clinic that Lauren was attending, correct?
I mean, I don't know if it was a clinic, but it was a training, month-long training thing.
Suffice it to say that after discussions between them, she agreed to come and train with Michael Barisone, correct?
That's correct.
Based on what you knew, would you agree with me that that was a huge step up from her previous trainer with regards to the experience and facility?
So we made the leap to change our lives and go up there and train with Michael.
Okay. Now, when you first went up there in 2018, how many horses did Lauren have at that time at that facility?
Referring to when we went to the Florida, when we first met Michael.
Yes. She had 2 horses, correct?
Yeah, I guess it was 2. I wasn't sure if it was just Evie. It might have been Evie and Fritz.
Okay, and then after the winter, you came up in 2018 to the New Jersey facility, correct?
Yes.
Now, you were living on the main floor of the farmhouse at that time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and your understanding of the deal was that Lauren would pay $25 per horse, $2,500, excuse me, $2,500 per horse to have those horses boarded there and trained. And there was also an additional benefit to you and Lauren that he would provide living accommodations, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now who negotiated that deal? Was it Lauren or Lauren's father?
I'm not sure.
But as far as you're concerned, and correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't pay any additional rent for living accommodations, correct?
We wouldn't have went up there if we had to pay for it. It wouldn't have been feasible if we had to pay for rent anywhere, either on the farm or off the farm.
Okay, and were you working at the time? In New
I don't
Jersey?
believe so. In New Jersey?
In New Jersey, when you came up here, you didn't have another
No,
job.
when we came down to New Jersey, I was not working at the time.
Okay. And would you agree with me that when the living arrangement situation was made, you originally was not included in that deal, so to speak?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Were you aware that when the living arrangements were made for Lauren, that you were not originally included in that deal?
No, that is not true. Lauren would not have come down without me, or come up, sorry.
Okay, so you come up with Lauren. What is your job when you're up here in the summer of 2018?
Summer of 2018, I helped Lauren with the horses. Summer of 2018, yeah, I helped Lauren with the horses.
And what do you specifically mean by that? Is that like a 9 to 5 type job, or
No, not at all.
what is
I
it?
get to spend time with horses and animals that I love. Get to spend time with Lauren, spend time with my dog. So, I mean,
Okay, were you getting paid to do that?
was I getting paid?
Yes.
I guess so. Yeah, in a sense.
When you say you guess so in a sense, was Lauren paying you money?
Lauren gave me money to pay my bills. That is correct.
So you're basically living for free in the farmhouse, correct? Correct?
What do you mean, basically? We were living in the house for free.
Okay.
I mean, not
What
for
do you-
free. I mean, if the horses weren't there for, the $5,000, no, we wouldn't be living in the farmhouse. But yeah, so
Okay. So, were there some problems in 2018 with Lauren and the staff, to your knowledge?
I don't recall.
Did she always show up on time to her riding lessons?
I mean, no, I highly doubt anybody ever shows up everywhere on time. I don't understand the question.
Okay.
Is that a
Was Michael
question?
Barisone training her and her horses in the summer of 2018?
It was more Justin Harden was training. Michael was in the background and, gave tips and advice and, he was like overseeing and adding input along the way.
And that's basically pretty much what Lauren expected with regards to the arrangement that she made, correct?
Objection.
To your knowledge.
Well, it's still, that doesn't, it still calls for a hearsay answer.
So.
Sustained, ask another question.
In the very beginning, in 2018, in the summer, Justin Harden was training Lauren and her horses with Michael Barisone overseeing the operation, correct?
That's correct.
And did Justin Harden continue to train throughout 2018 before you guys went back down to Florida?
So he did, and I see where this is going. So, Michael wanted to get to know the horses before he got on. So, if we're trying to get to, was Michael the planned trainer? Yes, he was. He was supposed to be eventually the main trainer of Lauren's horses.
Okay, and after the summer, everybody goes to the facility in Florida because it's cold and snowy up here, correct?
In the winter, correct.
Okay, now, when you went to Florida, did he provide living accommodation?
Well, in Florida, no.
Where did you guys stay?
We stayed in a rental.
Were you still paying the $2,500 that you were paying?
No, we paid more.
How much were you paying in Florida?
Oh, Florida's more expensive, so we paid $30,000 a horse, I believe.
And based on your knowledge, that's a common number per horse in these types of facilities, correct?
I don't know what other people charge.
Okay. Now, the prosecutor brought up your drug use. Will you agree that during the time that Lauren was being trained by Michael Barisone,
Judge, can we be heard at sidebar?
All right, the objection is overruled. I will allow limited questioning, Mr. Barisone, for the reasons stated at sidebar.
Mr. Goodwin, the prosecutor brought up your drug use. You indicated that you never did drugs at the facility, correct?
That is correct.
It is a fact that you were doing drugs during the time that you and Lauren Kanarek were using Barisone's facility off of the facility.
I did state I had a few relapses throughout that time.
So while Barisone was training Lauren Kanarek and you were living in his home, you had a few relapses, correct?
Right, but with the specification, not on the farm.
No, not on the farm.
Michael Barisone or any of the staff
Just
never.
hold on, just answer the question.
What was the
okay?
question?
The question was, off of the facility, while Lauren was being trained and you were living in Barisone's house, you were doing drugs, correct?
I had a relapse during that time.
And we're talking about crack.
Judge, I think this goes beyond the scope of what
Yeah,
you
but-
said was
No, but
permissible.
it's,
I thought you said I could ask the
no,
detective.
not the specifics. That's bad conduct of it. It was used only for impeachment or to clarify his earlier answers. That objection sustained.
Now, I'm going to move on. When you came back in 2019, there was a flood, and you saw the evidence of that, correct?
Correct.
And basically, the house needed a lot of renovations, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you came back up from Florida in 2019, Lauren decided to bring more horses to the facility to board and train, correct?
That's correct.
And an agreement was made with you that she would pay no more money to board and train those horses if you did a total and complete renovation of the house, correct?
No, that would be a very big deal. I mean, if I did the renovations, do I get to board and train for the rest of my life?
When you
No,
say for the rest of the life, you brought 2 additional horses up, correct?
We brought one. One she bought from Michael,
Correct?
and the other one was the retired one, which Michael was telling us for, a couple of months to bring up.
Okay. But she now had 3. She was talking about bringing a 4th, correct?
Yes, I talked about bringing a 4th.
And even a 5th, correct? Having a 5th horse.
I'm sorry. The third one was purchased from Michael.
Okay, irrespective of where she got it from,
Well, she didn't bring it there is what I'm trying to
Okay.
say.
So irrespective of where she got it from, she would basically be boarding up to 5 horses without paying for 3 of them, correct?
I was under the impression that the horse she purchased was free to live there for the rest of its life under
Well, again,
training.
you don't have any personal knowledge of that, correct?
Well,
But
then-
yeah, but you're asking him, Mr. Blinkus, that's the problem. I don't know what the source of his knowledge is. Is it hearsay knowledge? Was he part of negotiations?
Okay.
You gotta clarify this so
Understood.
we know
Understood.
the
You weren't a-
reliability.
Sorry, Judge.
Go ahead.
You weren't a part of those negotiations, correct?
Correct.
So you have no idea what deal was made, correct? Other than what someone else told you, correct?
With regards to the horses in Lauren, no.
Okay. So my point is, Lauren Kanarek had basically entered into an agreement where she was going to board 5 horses and only pay for 2, correct?
Well, they just said he wasn't part of the negotiations. How can he answer that question?
I'll withdraw that.
Just withdraw, move on.
Okay, you personally agreed to do construction work as a trade-off for whatever deal these people made, correct?
I had a conversation with Michael saying that because the water flooded the apartment and I was already working on the barn, that, we could trade work for the cost of the 2 additional horses, which would be Symphony and Rose. Trade the work for that, and if there was any extra work, that it would be paid in cash.
Okay, and when you say extra work paid in cash, the work you agreed to do was work on the farmhouse, correct, at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that was where the main focus was, yes.
Okay, and will you agree with me that at the time of the shooting, there's a hell of a lot of work that still needs to be done at that facility?
That's correct.
There's no insulation or sheetrock in the kitchen, which we saw in pictures, correct?
I was working in the basement at the time.
Okay, but the basement wasn't finished either, correct? Like,
That is correct.
the bathroom wasn't completed that we saw in the picture, correct?
Correct.
Okay, there were 2 rooms that we saw that were tiled, correct?
I mean, if there's a lot more work than tile, but yes.
Okay.
There was two rooms that were tiled, finished, painted.
Okay.
2
Now,
rooms that,
you didn't do that tile work, did you?
excuse me?
You didn't do the tile work in those 2 rooms, did you? Didn't Michael's friend do the tile work?
No.
Is it your sworn testimony?
Michael's friend helped. Actually, Michael's employee, Mike McGreen, helped.
Okay, Mike
He is
McGrath.
not, no. There.
Well, did Michael help?
Lay tile, no.
I mean, with
He-
other construction that was going on at the facility?
At the farmhouse or the barn?
First at the farmhouse.
At the farmhouse, no.
How about the barn?
At the barn, yes.
This Michael McGrain, what did he do in the basement area?
Michael helped me tile pretty much, some of the floor.
Was he a helper? Did he do an equal part? What was the role of each other?
He was a helper when he had free time. He would come down and lend me a hand, my tools, my materials that I picked up. He
Okay.
would give me a hand. It's easier to do tile with 2 people.
And you didn't show up every day and work a full day with regards to this construction at the farmhouse, did you?
No, not at all.
You would show up when it was convenient for you, correct?
I would show up to do a slow, steady pace if I did, let's say, 28 days of work, and the horse is going to cost, for Symphony, the only one there at that time, $2,500. Do I want to get ahead of myself? No. So I did a controlled pace. Michael also had a problem paying for the materials, to have the materials there at points in time.
Okay, so You basically worked at a pace where you felt your work was commensurate with the amount of money Lauren would have to pay to house these horses, correct?
I did not say that.
Do you think you're way ahead of Michael Barisone with regards to the construction of the farmhouse?
I think we had a good relationship, and I just wanted to keep busy. I also like to work. Also, I did believe we were ahead, and there was a lot of work per. At this point, it's Symphony that's there. Symphony was there, I believe, for maybe 2 months or so. So, well, you say tile, sheetrock, insulation, framing of walls, rehanging of doors, painting, spackling. For one horse, let's put it, 2 months, $2,500, $5,000. So I would say yes, I was ahead.
So you're not a licensed contractor, are you?
I am not.
You're not even supposed to be doing construction in New Jersey without a license. Are you aware of that?
I know that.
I'm gonna object.
And what's the relevance, Mr. Belinkus?
The value of his work as opposed to a license.
I think we've had enough of this area, Mr. Belinkus. Move on.
Well, you indicated what you thought Michael's personality was. You said bold, loud, funny, personable. And then you said sometimes angry. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
Would that pretty much describe a lot of people?
I'm not sure.
And during the entire time that you saw Michael Barison, you never saw him become violent, did you?
With people, no.
He never threatened you, or you never saw him threaten Lauren Kanarek at any point in time in the entire period of time that you knew him, correct?
I don't believe so.
Now, the prosecutor talked to you about certain time restrictions. When did Barisone's staff turn against Lauren Kanarek?
A couple weeks prior to the shooting.
Was Lauren Kanarek having problems with Justin Harden?
Yes, we were unhappy with the way training with Evie was going.
Did Lauren Kanarek have problems with Mary Haskins?
She didn't want Mary Haskins as a trainer.
She didn't like Mary Haskins at all, correct?
Did you ask her?
Well, based on your observations, was it obvious to you that there was a problem between Lauren Kanarek and Mary Haskins Gray?
I mean, I don't know if it was anything more than being catty.
Jealousy?
I have no clue.
Strike that. Were you aware that Lauren Kanarek was posting derogatory Facebook posts on the internet talking about Michael Barisone and Mary Haskins Gray?
I may have heard something along the way, but I couldn't state what it was.
And who did you hear this along the way from?
I don't remember.
Wasn't everybody talking about these posts at the facility the last 2 to 3 weeks prior to the incident?
I'm not sure. I could tell you that at least a week, maybe two. I don't think. No, about a week prior to the shooting, nobody really communicated with me at all.
And were you communicating with Lauren, like asking her what's going on, or why are these people acting this way? Did you
Well,
have
but
any
I couldn't give you an accurate description over the last 2.5 years. I've heard, many different things. I can't tell you what our conversation was 2.5 years ago. So that's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay, well, you testified on direct that at some point in time, there were time limits placed on when you can go to the stables.
That's correct.
Okay. Those time limits were posted after Michael Barisone left his own home and was now living in the stable area, correct?
I do not recall the exact date of when those were posted. I know the police came up one day, and it's on record when we talked about it, but I think it was a little, maybe prior to that, a couple days.
Okay. You are aware that Michael Barisone left his house at some point, correct?
I am.
And do you have any idea why someone, or specifically he left his house?
I have many ideas, and one could be they didn't want to live in a construction zone. Two, they animosity between everybody. But I didn't ask them; they didn't tell me.
We saw the pictures of the main floor. Your apartment was right above that area, correct?
Yes.
And there was no insulation or sheetrock on the ceilings and numerous walls, correct?
I believe mainly in the kitchen, maybe the bathroom. I'm not 100%.
Okay.
But yes, there was no sheetrock on some of the wall section, ceiling section.
And would you agree with me that because of that, there wasn't any real soundproofing and that you could hear things between living areas?
I mean, if there was insulation and sheetrock, you could still hear things. Prior to the damage, we could hear things sometimes.
Okay, but after the damage, it got a lot worse. Would you agree?
I would imagine so, yes.
Did you and Lauren Kanarek have a lot of fights and yelling arguments while he was living below you?
I don't know what a lot is considered.
On a regular basis?
We argued. We argued a good deal.
Now, at some point, you decide to purchase cameras to try to protect yourself, correct?
I purchased camera because we were going to the show the next week.
And that's the only reason why
I
you
wanted to
purchased?
protect my property, correct.
When you say your property, you want to protect the...
I wanted to make sure nobody was coming into my house.
Okay. And on the 6th, someone did come into your house, correct? Miss Cox?
If it was, Ms. Cox did come into my house at one day that week.
Okay. And that was captured on your cameras, correct?
That was, yes.
Okay, that was the day that the town came and did whatever they did, correct? The day that Miss Cox was bitten by your dog,
Oh, yes, actually, yes.
okay? And you have your dog and Miss Cox on that video, correct?
Yes, I had Ms. Cox in my apartment.
So on the 6th, those cameras were working, correct?
Just for one day, I believe.
And recording, correct?
Recorded, yes. I don't know if it recorded throughout the day.
Now, you also purchased other surveillance equipment, correct?
More specific?
Recorders, tape recorders, so you can record private conversations.
I did purchase digital recorders.
How many?
2.
When did you purchase them?
somewhere around the beginning or the end of the, either, beginning of August, the end of the month prior.
How did you purchase them?
Purchased them online.
And at any point in time, did the prosecutor ask for that proof of purchase when he discussed this case with you?
I don't believe so.
Now, whose idea was it to purchase those recorders?
I don't recall.
Will you agree with me that they were purchased for a specific reason?
I mean, yes.
You had discussions with Lauren and her father with regards to putting a tape recorder in certain places to record conversations, correct?
I don't recall the specifics.
Well, who was in charge of these recorders? You or Lauren?
I was.
You were the one that physically put the recorders in whatever place they were in, correct?
In her locker at the barn.
Is it your sworn testimony that the only place you ever recorded a conversation was from Lauren's locker?
The only place I placed the device is Lauren's locker.
And where else did you record conversations?
In my house, my truck, in my pocket.
Did you ever place one by a dumpster?
No.
Did you ever record conversations by a rock where the staff members would go and sit?
I believe I just, so the only place I placed one is in Lauren's locker.
So if I could play that audio.
Let me see that sidebar. We have a legal issue that we have to resolve, and it's close to 4:30, so this is one of those days you get to leave a little bit early today. All right, so we're going to stay. The lawyers and I will stay to resolve this issue, and we'll pick up again tomorrow morning. All right, so same time, same location. We'll see you then. Thank you. Please don't discuss the case. You can step down, sir. Please don't discuss your testimony with anyone.
Sure thing.